The morning mist clung to the twisting mountain road, wrapping it in a thick, ghostly blanket that refused to lift. The sun hadn't yet risen fully, and the dim light made everything feel strange, like the world was caught between night and day. Detective Ethan Cole tightened his grip on the steering wheel, his knuckles pale against the leather. His mind wandered restlessly, haunted by another sleepless night that offered no peace. Then something flickered in the fog. A shape, small, still. He leaned forward, squinting through the windshield. Probably a branch or discarded trash, he thought. At first, but then it moved. His instincts kicked in. He slammed the brake. The car jerked to a halt, tires crunching against the gravel shoulder. Hot coffee spilled over the edge of his paper cup and soaked into his sleeve as he yanked open the door. Stepping out into the chilled air, he scanned the haze. The shape stood there, motionless in the middle of the road. A dog, a large German shepherd, its body stiff and trembling. Ethan's breath caught in his chest. Silver duct tape was wrapped brutally around the dog's head, covering its eyes like a blindfold. Blood soaked the fur around its paws, caked with mud and exhaustion. The animal's ribs jutted out like sharp stones beneath its coat, every breath. A visible effort. But what truly froze Ethan in place wasn't the injuries, it was what the dog carried. Hanging from its jaws, clutched tightly like it was the most important thing in the world, was a torn yellow satchel. The dog held it the way a soldier might protect a flag fallen in battle. "Easy now." "Easy, boy," Ethan said, his voice quiet. Crouching low, the dog didn't snarl, didn't retreat. It just stood there, swaying with fatigue, waiting like it had been waiting for someone. With slow, careful hands, Ethan reached for the satchel. It was heavier than he expected. He unzipped it, heart beating faster. Inside was a small spiral notebook, its edges worn and peeling. Across the front, in large, childlike letters, it read, "My name is Sophie Miller. I am 7 years old. If you are reading this, Buddy found you. Please don't let him stop. We need help." Ethan felt a lump rise in his throat. He traced the uneven handwriting with his fingers, every letter full of urgency, of fear. This wasn't just a message. It was a cry for help. A tiny hand reaching out into the world, hoping someone would answer. He looked up again at the battered German shepherd. The dog stood still, blood-crusted paws dug into the cold earth. But it didn't shake from fear anymore. It stood with purpose. The kind of silent strength Ethan had seen before in rescue workers crawling through rubble, long after everyone else gave up. He recognized that same spark here. This dog wasn't just surviving. He was carrying a child's hope on his back. As if sensing Ethan's shift in thought, Buddy turned his blindfolded face slightly toward him. And for a heartbeat, Ethan wasn't looking at an animal, he was staring at a promise. A living, breathing vow that refused to die. Something cracked inside Ethan, not pity, but memory. Years ago, on a different road, he'd held a small bag. Like this one. Then he had arrived too late. Not this time. "Buddy," he whispered, voice thick, "you didn't give up on her. I won't give up on you." Buddy's tail gave a slow, soft thump against the asphalt as if he understood. Ethan drove. With one hand on the steering wheel, the other resting lightly on Buddy's back in the passenger seat. The German shepherd lay low, his head bowed, conserving what little energy he had. The yellow satchel rested between them, no longer just a bag, it was a plea. A lifeline. By the time they reached Cedar Pines Veterinary Clinic, the sun had started to rise, casting gold through the trees. Dr. Lavra Castor stood at the door, keys in hand, when Ethan pulled up. She blinked away sleep as she took in the dog's condition. Her expression shifted instantly from drowsy to razor-focused. "What happened to him?" she asked, ushering them in. "He found me," Ethan replied, laying the satchel down. And he brought this. Laura's hands worked quickly and carefully over Buddy's battered body, assessing wounds, checking vitals. When the scanner beeped, she frowned and looked at the screen. He's chipped, service tag. Registered as a search and rescue dog, Buddy. Retired 3 years ago. Ethan's eyes moved to the scarred tape marks on the dog's face. Still on duty, he murmured as Lavra cleaned wounds and stitched torn skin. Ethan flipped open the notebook. The second page was stained and the writing shaky, but the words hit harder than any evidence report. Buddy won't eat unless I eat first. We sleep on the cold floor. The bad man locks the door when he's angry. Ethan's jaw clenched. These weren't just scribbles from a scared child. They were windows into a dark place. A prison no 7-year-old should ever know. He looked at Buddy, still standing, refusing to lie down, refusing to give in. You didn't just find me, Ethan whispered. You brought me a trail. Buddy's ears twitched in response. Lavra placed a gentle hand on the dog's side. He won't hold out forever. Whatever this is, you're running out of time. Ethan closed the notebook. The child's voice still echoed in his head. He looked at Buddy, blind, bleeding, but unbroken, and something shifted again. Then we move. Now, Ethan said, voice steady. Show me where she is, boy. Buddy tried to stand, shaking, unsteady, but he rose. That was all Ethan needed. The fog had thinned by the time. They turned off the highway and onto a dirt road winding into the forest. Buddy sat upright, nose twitching as if pulled by an invisible string. Ethan parked and stepped into the stillness of morning. The woods were quiet, too quiet. Buddy jumped from the car, paws unsteady, but moving. Show me, Ethan said, and Buddy. The trees stood still, their branches heavy with silence, and the old cabin up ahead looked more like a ghost than a shelter. Its wooden planks were faded and darkened by time. There was no smoke from the chimney, no sound of life, no shadows moving inside. But the air felt wrong. It was heavy, charged. Something was there, and Ethan could feel it crawl across his skin like a warning. Buddy, the scarred German shepherd, stopped at the edge of the tree line. Though blind, his body stiffened, nose high, ears forward as if trying to see with sound. Every muscle was tense. Then, without hesitation, he barked a single sharp sound that echoed off the trees like a warning shot or a cry for help. Ethan crouched beside him, resting a hand on the dog's strong but trembling shoulder. We found it, didn't we, boy? He whispered, eyes locked on the weathered cabin in the distance. Keeping low, Ethan shifted behind a cluster of trees and raised his radio, his voice calm but urgent. Dispatch, this is Detective Cole. I believe I've located a potential site. Send backup. Medical team on standby. I'm sending coordinates now. There was a crackle, then a calm voice confirming. Ethan didn't wait. He looked to Buddy, who was quivering but steady, head still aimed toward the cabin like a compass locked on a signal only he could hear. Hang on, kid, Ethan breathed. We're coming for you. Buddy gave a soft, single thump of his tail in reply. Ethan's hand went to his sidearm as he crept forward. Staying low, steps quiet. The closer he got, the more the silence pressed in. No rustle of leaves, no bird song, not even the wind. Only Buddy's breathing, shallow and strained, reminded him that time was ticking. Circling wide through the brush, Ethan's ears caught something faint. A cry, high-pitched, fragile, afraid. His heart raced as he gave a signal to Buddy. Without hesitation, the blind dog surged forward, led not by sight but by the sound of a child in danger. His legs wobbled, but his direction never wavered. They rounded the back of the cabin, and Ethan's breath caught. A man. in a torn dark jacket, was dragging a small barefoot girl across the dirt toward a crumbling hole in the ground, a collapsed mine shaft, its edge patched with old splintered boards. Sophie thrashed, weak but fierce, her cries cutting the air. "Buddy! Buddy! Help, police! Let her go!" she screamed. Ethan stepped out, voice booming like thunder. "Let her go." The man froze, then jerked Sophie in front of him, using her as a shield. His face was pale, eyes wide, wild. He held a hunting knife tight in one hand. "Stay back," he shouted, voice cracking. "You don't understand." Buddy didn't wait. Without a sound, the German Shepherd moved. Head low, body tight. His blind eyes didn't stop him. His ears locked onto Sophie's sobs. Ethan steadied his aim, voice low but strong. "It's over. Let her go." The man's grip hardened. His voice twisted with rage and desperation. "She's mine. She owes me everything." That was enough. Buddy lunged out. 70 pounds of muscle and loyalty hit the man's legs with the force of a battering ram. The knife flew through the air. All three hit the ground in a tangle of limbs and dirt. "Run, Sophie!" Ethan shouted, but she didn't. Instead, she crawled to Buddy, flinging her arms around him, burying her face in his neck. "You found me," she whispered through tears. "You found the good people, just like I asked." Ethan was already on the man, yanking his arms behind him, locking the cuffs into place. The man thrashed, cursing, but Ethan barely heard him. His eyes were locked on the little girl wrapped around the trembling dog. Sophie sobbed, shaking, her voice hoarse from crying. The way she held Buddy made her seem older than her 7 years. Buddy lay still beneath her, his chest rising in slow, uneven breaths. His tail gave the faintest wag each time she whispered his name. Ethan knelt beside them and gently placed a hand on the dog's shoulder. "Sophie," he said softly. She looked up. Her face was streaked with dirt and tears. "Please, don't take him away," she whispered. He found me." Ethan swallowed the lump rising in his throat. "No one's taking him anywhere without you. You hear me? Wherever you go, he goes." Buddy gave a soft, broken whine as if sealing the promise himself. Ethan lifted Sophie into his arms. Her yellow satchel still hung from one shoulder. One small hand clung to Ethan's jacket. The other clutched tightly to Buddy's fur. She didn't want to let go, and Ethan didn't make her. He raised his radio. "Dispatch, this is Detective Cole. I have the girl. Repeat, I have Sophie Miller. Suspect is in custody. Request immediate medical evac to this location." The radio crackled back a confirmation, but Ethan's focus stayed on the 2 lives pressed close to him, the fast little heartbeat against his chest, and the labored, steady one beside his knee. He looked down at Buddy, battered, blind, but never giving up, and something inside him shifted. "You did it, boy," Ethan whispered, his voice cracking. "You kept her safe." Buddy's tail moved once against the dirt, a final salute before his head sagged gently into Sophie's lap.